Martinez, you're up! The command echoed across the PT field where Riley Martinez was supposed to be observing the monthly combat readiness test. As the communications technician, she wasn't required to participate in the warrior training that separated desk jockeys from real soldiers. But Sergeant First Class Davidson had other ideas. Since you're here, might as well see what you can do. Don't worry. We'll go easy on you. The other soldiers chuckled. Davidson was known for his old-school attitudes about women in combat roles, and Riley had been enduring his casual dismissiveness for months. To him, she was just another female soldier who'd found a safe job behind the lines. Riley looked at the obstacle course, the rope climb that had already broken 3 soldiers today, the combat simulation that required skills most soldiers never developed. She could have declined, should have made an excuse. Instead, she quietly removed her jacket and stepped to the starting line. What happened next took exactly 41 seconds. 41 seconds faster than the base record. And suddenly, everyone wanted to know who the hell Riley Martinez really was. This wasn't just a record-breaking moment. This was the moment when an identity, hidden for years, was revealed, when a legend was born. Because Riley Martinez's story was proof that the most ordinary-looking people in the military can sometimes have the most extraordinary backgrounds. If you're also into these kinds of incredible true stories, don't forget to subscribe, because we share amazing stories like this every day. And don't forget to hit that like button to help this story reach more people. We're also curious, where are you watching us from? From home, from work, or like us, from sleepless nights? Share with us in the comments. So what exactly did Riley Martinez do in those 41 seconds that left everyone speechless? Building 12 at Fort Carson was where communications equipment went to be fixed. A narrow space filled with metal shelves and testing devices, the sharp smell of electrical work spreading under fluorescent lights. Here, Riley Martinez had been working quietly, unquestionably, and out of sight for the past 8 months. At 29, she stood 5 feet 6 inches with an athletic but understated build. Brown hair always pulled back in a tight bun, uniform perfectly pressed but carrying no special badges or insignia. By appearance, she was an average technician, but there was nothing average about Riley Martinez. Every morning she woke at 5:30, heading out for her run in silence. 5 miles, exactly 32 minutes and 15 seconds. The running route was never the same, a different path each day, a different route. Old habits. During work hours, she was the perfect technician. Radio repair, satellite connection setup, communication system maintenance, every job done on time and flawlessly. But her colleagues never questioned why her movement was different, why she never startled at unexpected sounds, why her hands stayed steady during crisis situations while everyone else panicked. To them, she was just the radio girl, competent, quiet, ordinary. Riley's real story went back 3 years. Navy SEAL Bud S, Class 234, a program where only 23 out of 180 candidates graduated in 26 weeks. And among those 23, there were only 2 women. Riley was one of them. Building 12 at Fort Carson was where communications equipment went to be fixed. A narrow space filled with metal shelves and testing devices, the sharp smell of electrical work spreading under fluorescent lights. Here, Riley Martinez had been working quietly, unquestionably, and out of sight for the past 8 months. At 29, she stood 5 feet 6 inches with an athletic but understated build. Brown hair always pulled back in a tight bun, uniform, perfectly pressed, but carrying no special badges or insignia. By appearance, she was an average technician, but there was nothing average about Riley Martinez. Every morning she woke at 5:30, heading out for her run in silence. 5 miles, exactly 32 minutes and 15 seconds. The running route was never the same, a different path each day, a different route. Old habits. During work hours, she was the perfect technician. Radio repair, satellite connection setup, communication system maintenance, every job done on time and flawlessly. But her colleagues never questioned why her movement was different, why she never startled at unexpected sounds, why her hands stayed steady during crisis situations while everyone else panicked. To them, she was just the radio girl, competent, quiet, ordinary. Riley's real story went back 3 years, Navy SEAL Bud S Class 234, a program where only 23 out of 180 candidates graduated in 26 weeks. And among those 23, there were only 2 women. Riley was one of them. Coronado Beach, California, 4:30 hours. The icy waters of the Pacific Ocean awaited 180 SEAL candidates. First week, the warm-up before Hell Week. Riley was 26 then, Naval Academy graduate, 2 deployment naval experience, perfect physical conditioning scores. But none of that had truly prepared her for what BUDS would be. "Martinez!" Instructor Chief Petty Officer Richards shouted. "You and your buddies love the ocean, don't you? Because you're going to live in it for the next 26 weeks. The first day began with a 2,000-meter swim. Water temperature, 58 degrees. Riley's body started going numb after 15 minutes, but she continued. Half the male candidates next to her were shivering from hypothermia when they were pulled from the water. She was just breathing hard, but still standing. Bud/S days were filled with physical challenges. 4-mile run, 2-mile ocean swim, 150 push-ups, 200 sit-ups, 20 pull-ups, every day, 6 days a week, without stopping. But the real difficulty wasn't physical. It was psychological. "Martinez," Instructor Richards approached her in the 3rd week. "What did you come here to do?" "Instructor Chief, I came to become a SEAL." "A SEAL? You?" Richards laughed. "Look around you. The men here have been waiting for this moment their entire lives. You're just a woman. What do you think you can do?" These kinds of questions came every day, from every instructor, in every exercise, at every failure. Riley's gender was constantly questioned, every mistake magnified, every success attributed to luck. But she endured. 5th week, Hell Week, 120 hours of continuous physical and mental torture without sleep, the heart of BUDS, where most candidates quit. When Riley started that week, the group had dropped from 180 to 67. By the end of Hell Week, only 34 would remain. Monday morning, 4 a.m., no sleep. First, 24 hours of hyperactivities, running, swimming, crawling through mud, carrying boats and ships, lying in freezing water. The instructors were relentless. "Martinez, you think you're special because you're a woman? You think we'll go easy on you?" Chief Richards screamed as she struggled through the surf zone with a 180-pound boat on her head. "Out here, you're nothing but another quitter waiting to happen." Riley's teammates, all men, watched her carefully. Some were supportive, others skeptical. Johnson, a former college football player, had initially resented her presence. "This isn't a place for diversity experiments," he had muttered during the first week. But now, watching her refuse to break under pressure that was shattering men twice her size, his attitude shifted. "Martinez," he gasped during a brief rest between evolutions, "you're tougher than most of the guys I played ball with." Tuesday, hallucinations began. Sleep deprivation was starting to damage the body. For a moment, Riley saw her mother sitting on the beach watching her. When she blinked, no one was there. The cold was so intense, it felt like knives cutting through her wetsuit. Her core temperature had dropped dangerously low twice, requiring medical monitoring. "Your body temperature is borderline hypothermic," the medic warned her. "1 more degree drop and we pull you from training." Riley nodded but said nothing. Quitting wasn't an option, not when she'd come this far. Wednesday midnight, 72 hours without sleep. Class down to 34 people. Riley's hands hurt so badly she couldn't grip the steel ropes. Her legs were shaking, but she kept walking. The boat carries had torn skin from her shoulders. Salt water in the wounds felt like acid. Every step was agony. During the infamous steel pier evolution, candidates had to lie in the Pacific Ocean for hours, waves crashing over them. The water temperature was 58 degrees. Most lasted 20 minutes before hypothermia set in. Riley lasted 2 hours. "Quit, Martinez," Instructor Richards whispered when he approached her. "No one will judge you. 95% of women who come here quit. You've already done better than most." Riley looked at him, eyes bloodshot, lips cracked, body trembling with pain. "No, Instructor Chief, I'm going to graduate from here." Thursday afternoon, 96 hours. Riley was now having trouble remembering her own name, but she was still standing. 23 people left in the class. The hallucinations were getting worse. She saw her father in his Navy uniform, saluting her from the beach. She knew it wasn't real, but it gave her strength anyway. Friday morning, 4 a.m., 120 hours completed. Hell Week was over. Riley Martinez was among them. She was one of the first 5 women to complete Hell Week, and she was just getting started. 26 weeks later, Riley Martinez earned her SEAL Trident. At the graduation ceremony, her family was there, a mixture of pride and worry in her mother's eyes, her father's quiet respect. Her first deployment was Afghanistan, with SEAL Team 8, real operations, real enemies, real bullets. Riley's first mission was a direct action raid, Taliban leader compound, night operation, 12-person team, fast entry, target elimination, fast exit. "Phantom, you take the south flank," Team Leader Lieutenant Commander Hayes instructed. "Take overwatch position, provide exfil cover." Riley took her position. M4A1 carbine, night vision, 300-meter shot distance. Perfect spot to observe the target building. The operation lasted 23 minutes. Riley neutralized 7 enemy combatants to bring her team home safely, without making a sound, without being noticed. That night, everyone in SEAL Team 8 began to respect Riley Martinez. She was no longer the female team member. She was just Martinez. And Martinez was reliable. The second deployment was also Afghanistan, this time for 8 months. More challenging missions, more dangerous operations. Riley had become an integral part of the SEAL team, until everything changed. In the 6th month, an operation went wrong. Intelligence was faulty, the ambush came from an unexpected direction. An IED explosion threw Riley 10 meters, shattering her left knee. The blast had been devastating. Riley's team was conducting a night raid on a Taliban weapons cache when the roadside bomb detonated. The explosion killed 2 of her teammates instantly, Rodriguez and Chen, both men she'd served alongside for over a year. The same men who'd initially doubted her but had grown to trust her completely. As smoke cleared and gunfire erupted around them, Riley found herself trapped under debris with a leg that wouldn't respond to commands. Blood was pooling beneath her, and she could see bone through torn flesh. But her first instinct wasn't self-preservation. It was mission completion. "Team leader, this is Phantom," she radioed, using her call sign despite the agony. 2 KIA, I'm mobility compromised but still combat effective. Rodriguez and Chen need immediate dust-off. Lieutenant Commander Hayes found her 20 minutes later during the firefight, applying a tourniquet to her own leg while returning fire at Taliban fighters. She dragged herself to a defensive position and was providing covering fire for the medic treating other wounded teammates. "Martinez, you need immediate medical evacuation," Hayes shouted over the gunfire. "Negative, sir. Team comes first. I can hold this position." For 43 minutes, Riley maintained her defensive position with a shattered knee, ensuring no additional casualties occurred during the extraction. Only when the last wounded teammate was loaded onto the helicopter did she allow herself to be treated. Medical assessment: 60% disability, unfit for combat operations, severe damage to ligaments, cartilage destruction, chronic pain that would never fully heal. End of Navy SEAL career. "Martinez," Dr. Thompson told her while she was lying in the hospital core, "it's not possible for you to return as a SEAL. The knee reconstruction was successful, but you'll never have the mobility required for special operations. But we can rehabilitate you for normal duty status. There's a position available in naval communications." Riley knew her options. Take medical retirement, transition to civilian life, or stay in the military, transition to a different role. The choice was easy. The military was her life. She transferred to the Army, reclassified as a communications technician, new identity, new specialized skill set, new life. But no records from her old life transferred. Security clearance reasons. Riley Martinez was now just a technician. Her SEAL background was classified, as if it had never existed. When the assignment to Fort Carson came, Riley started with a clean slate. Her personnel file showed naval communications training, technical certification, medical limitation from ankle injury. SEAL background, not available. On her first day, Supervisor Staff Sergeant Williams introduced her to the unit. Martinez, welcome. Things are simple here. Equipment comes in, you fix it, send it back. Nothing complicated. Roger, Sergeant. I need to tell you a few things. This unit is mostly men. They're not used to working with people like you. Let's say, from technical backgrounds. But they'll show respect. If you have problems, come to me. What Riley found strange was this. In the past, in the SEAL team, respect was automatic. You earned it through performance. No one questioned your gender. Here, she constantly had to prove herself. In the first weeks, she was careful, did good work, had no problems with anyone, stayed out of sight. But some things were being noticed. Specialist Johnson said to her one day, "Martinez, you move differently. Most females here, I don't know, they're different. You look professional." Riley didn't respond. Looking professional wasn't a crime, but some male NCOs perceived this as a challenge, especially Sergeant First Class Davidson. Davidson was a 15-year veteran, 3 deployments, good NCO ratings, but old-school mentality. He believed women in the military had specific roles: admin, medical, logistics, combat roles, number. The first clash with Riley came in her second month. "Martinez," Davidson came to the work area one morning. "This radio repair request is urgent. The colonel personally prioritized it." Riley examined the equipment. Simple fix, 20 minutes of work. "Sergeant, this will be ready by evening." "By evening?" I said now. "Roger, Sergeant. Starting now." Davidson waited while Riley worked. He watched her hands, studied her technique. Riley worked professionally and efficiently, but there was something in Davidson's expression. "Where did you learn these skills, Sergeant? This technical work, did they teach you these things in naval communications?" Riley was careful. "Yes, Sergeant. I received comprehensive training." "Which school?" "Great Lakes Naval Station, Sergeant." Davidson nodded but didn't look convinced. "Someday I'm going to learn your full background, Martinez. Something makes you different." Riley's heart raced, but her facial expression didn't change. "Roger, Sergeant." From that day on, Davidson began watching her extra closely. At every opportunity, he asked challenging questions, gave extra work, questioned her performance. Riley endured it. She had no other choice. 6 months later, the monthly combat readiness test day arrived. The entire unit was required to participate, but support personnel were only asked to observe. Riley stood on the PT field, watching soldiers go through the obstacle course. The challenge course was designed to be difficult: rope climb, wall scaling, combat simulation, endurance run. Davidson was supervising the course, timing performances. "This month's best time," he announced loudly, "Corporal Jenkins, 3 minutes 12 seconds. Jenkins was one of the unit's top performers, 24 years old, excellent shape, competitive runner. "Anyone think they can beat that?" Davidson challenged the group. Several soldiers tried, but no one could beat Jenkins's time. Riley stood silent, simply observing, but she was mentally analyzing the course. Rope technique inefficient. Too much arm strength, not enough leg drive. Wall scaling approach wrong angle, wasted energy. Combat simulation movements telegraphed, too obvious, too slow. She knew she could finish this course in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. "Martinez!" Davidson's voice pulled her from her thoughts. "You're up." There was murmuring in the group. Riley was a communications tech. She wasn't expected to participate in this type of training. "Sergeant, I'm support personnel. I know what you are, but since you're here, might as well see what you can do." Davidson smirked. "Don't worry, we'll go easy on you." Riley hesitated. If she participated, she'd attract attention, show performance. Questions would be asked, but if she refused, she'd appear weak. Davidson would forever underestimate her. The decision was easy. Riley removed her jacket. She stood at the starting line, mentally rehearsed the course one last time. "Ready?" Davidson prepared the stopwatch. Riley nodded. "Go." The first obstacle was the rope climb. Riley wrapped her legs perfectly, used minimal arms with efficient technique. 12 seconds. Normal soldiers took 25 seconds. Wall scaling. Riley used her momentum, approached at the perfect angle, went over in a single fluid motion. 8 seconds. Combat simulation, multiple targets, different ranges, movement required. Riley's training kicked in. Smooth, natural, precise. Her movements were economical, effective. 15 seconds, final endurance run, 400 meters at full speed. Riley's breathing controlled, pace steady. Sprint finish, 6 seconds under course record pace. Total time, 41 seconds. The course record had been beaten by 41 seconds. The PT field fell completely silent. Riley walked back to the starting point, breathing normal, expression calm. No sweat, no signs of effort. Davidson looked at the stopwatch, then at Riley, then at the stopwatch again. What the hell? News spread quickly. The communications tech had beaten the course record by 41 seconds. Impossible performance. Professional soldiers were confused, impressed, suspicious. "Martinez," Davidson called her aside the next day. "We need to talk." They were alone in his office. "What you did yesterday, that wasn't normal." Riley maintained a neutral expression. "Sergeant, I just did my best." "Bullshit. That kind of performance requires specific training, combat training, elite-level training." Davidson leaned forward. "Where did you really serve?" "Sergeant, my service record is available in my file." "Your file doesn't explain yesterday. A normal communications technician doesn't finish a course in 41 seconds. Professional infantry soldiers can't even beat that time." Riley remained silent. "Martinez, I've been in the military for 15 years. I know different types of soldiers. You're not a civilian contractor. You're not support personnel." Davidson paused. "What kind of soldier are you?" "Sergeant, I'm just a soldier trying to serve in the military." Davidson was frustrated. "Fine. But this conversation isn't over. I'm going to learn the truth." That night, Davidson stayed late in his office. He did a detailed analysis of Riley's records on the computer. Every entry, every assignment, every training record. Something was missing. The Naval Communications training records were too basic to explain advanced technical skills. The medical file had an ankle injury, but the details were vague. Previous assignment information was limited. But the most suspicious thing was no performance evaluations for the first 6 years of service, no medals, commendations, or recognition, unusual for an 8-year veteran. Davidson called his contacts who had higher clearance. "Martinez Riley, service number 847-29-4156. Can you do a background check?" When the response came, Davidson was surprised. "Her records are restricted at a classified level. Access requires higher clearance." "What kind of classified?" "Special operations related. We can't get details." Davidson put down the phone, thinking. Special operations. That finally made sense. Riley Martinez wasn't an ordinary communications tech. She was former special operations. The next morning, Davidson called Riley in again. "Martinez, sit down." This time the atmosphere was different. Davidson looked respectful. "I made several phone calls last night about your background." Riley's expression didn't change, but she was internally alert. "You're former special operations, aren't you?" Long pause. "Sergeant, if I had such a background, it would be classified. You know I couldn't discuss it." Davidson nodded. "I don't want to know details. What unit you served in, what operations you participated in. I don't care. That's classified for a reason." He leaned forward. "But I want to know this. Why are you here? Why a technical position? Why hiding?" Riley thought for a long time. Could she give Davidson a piece of the truth? "Sergeant, sometimes people serve in places, do things that don't officially happen, and sometimes those people have to return to normal military, with different roles, different responsibilities. Medical reasons? Partly." Davidson showed understanding. "And now you work in communications because it's safe, quiet, allows you to serve without attention." "Roger, Sergeant." Davidson stood up. "Martinez, I will respectfully maintain your privacy, but I can say this. If you ever need consulting on military matters, I'm available." Thank you, Sergeant. And Martinez? Yes, Sergeant. Yesterday's performance was impressive, but maybe next time, work a little slower. Might attract too much attention. Riley gave a small smile. Roger that, Sergeant. After that conversation, Riley's life on base changed. Davidson began protecting her from unnecessary questions. Other NCOs began treating her differently, still respectful, but now curious rather than dismissive. Riley sensed that the secret was partially out, but not at a dangerous level. People knew she wasn't ordinary, but the details were still protected. Months passed. Riley's work quality was no longer questioned. Her performance was respected. She was recognized as a valuable member of the unit. But on late nights, alone in the barracks, she sometimes wondered if the full truth would ever be revealed. If someday someone would discover she was a former Navy SEAL. If that past life she'd carefully buried would ever surface. On one of those nights, the answer came. Specialist Adams was doing routine paperwork processing. He was updating personnel files for the quarterly review. When he opened Riley Martinez's file, he noticed a misfiled document, Bud/S graduation certificate, Navy SEAL qualification, Hell Week completion record. Adams read it twice, then 3 times. Then he looked across the room at Riley, who was quietly troubleshooting a radio malfunction, completely unaware that her secret was about to become the most talked about story on base. Because just a radio girl doesn't survive the world's toughest military training program. But Riley Martinez had. The next morning, Adams brought the document to his supervisor, Sergeant Williams. Sergeant, I found this in Riley Martinez's file. Williams looked at the certificate, eyes wide. Holy shit, is this real? Appears to be. Williams carefully studied the document. Official seals, signatures, dates, everything looked authentic. She's a Navy SEAL? Former, apparently. Williams sat down in his office, considering the implications. This explains why her performance records are restricted, why she moves the way she does, why she destroyed yesterday's PT test. He looked up. Has anyone else seen this document? No, Sergeant. I brought it directly to you. Good. This information is sensitive. Riley is obviously trying to keep it hidden for reasons, maybe security, maybe personal privacy. Williams paused. But the unit should know this information, not details, but she's not an ordinary soldier. She deserves a different level of respect. What do you want to do? Williams carefully put the certificate in a folder. I'm going to talk to Riley privately, see if she wants to discuss it. That afternoon, Williams called Riley in. Martinez, sit down. I want to show you something. He placed the certificate on the desk. Riley's expression immediately changed. Carefully controlled, but she clearly recognized the document. Is this yours? Long pause. Yes, Sergeant, but that's classified information. You know I'm not supposed to discuss it. I don't want details. I just want understanding. Williams leaned forward. You were a Navy SEAL, elite warrior, and now you're working here as a communications tech. Why? Riley took a deep breath. For the first time in months, she could give someone a piece of the truth. Sergeant, sometimes service members serve in certain positions, specialized roles, and sometimes circumstances change. Medical, operational, security reasons. And you return to normal military in a different capacity. Roger, Sergeant. Williams nodded with understanding. Riley, I can guarantee this. Details about your past will remain private, but I need to tell the unit that you have exceptional background for respect reasons. I understand, Sergeant. Are you comfortable with people knowing your former special operations without details? Riley considered. For months she'd been hiding, trying to prove herself, trying to appear normal. Maybe it was time for acknowledgement. Sergeant, if it helps the unit understand why I am the way I am, then I'm comfortable. Williams smiled. Good. Because Martinez, you're a valuable asset, and people need to know. At the next week's unit meeting, Williams made an announcement. Team, I want to inform you that Specialist Martinez has an exceptional military background. Details are classified, but she brings specialized training and experience to the unit. No details, no questions, no elaborate explanations, simple recognition. Riley felt relief. For the first time in months, she could be completely herself. Outstanding performer, knowledgeable technician, former elite warrior adapting to a new role. Respect was no longer questioned. Riley Martinez had proven that extraordinary people sometimes serve in ordinary roles, and sometimes the most powerful soldiers are the ones you'd never suspect. That evening, Davidson approached her. "Martinez? Sergeant? Yesterday I learned the full story, not details, but the level." He paused. "I just wanted to say, honor to serve with you." Riley smiled, the first genuine smile in months. "Thank you, Sergeant. The honor is mine." Because sometimes truth doesn't need a dramatic reveal. Sometimes respect is quietly earned, gradually recognized. And sometimes the most important battles are fought not in distant lands, but in everyday moments where a person proves who they really are. Riley Martinez's story would continue. Different chapter, same strength, same service, different recognition, and most importantly, same commitment to serve, regardless of whether anyone knew who she really was. Ending. Riley Martinez was now known as both a communications technician and former Navy SEAL. Her past was no longer a burden, but an asset. And her unit understood that strength has many forms, some obvious, some hidden, all valuable. This story is dedicated to all service members with specialized training. Roles may change, but commitment to serve remains constant.